I need to make mistakes, tweak things, and do things differently.
Yeah, I'm tired of making mistakes.
You connect the dots, but only backwards, never forwards, because you can't predict the future. But you look back and you say all the mistakes, all the hard times, all the little conversations, you can connect them and go, this would never have happened if it wasn't for every one of those dots.
Welcome to the Spartan Up podcast, hosted by Joe De Sena, founder and CEO of Spartan Race, and brought to you by Wild Health.
We are talking about overcoming obstacles. The same way we teach people to get over obstacles on the course, we will teach you here on the Spartan Up podcast to get over obstacles in your mind.
Get fully personalized healthcare based on your DNA, biometrics, and blood work with Wild Health, the official healthcare provider of Spartan. Go to wildhealth.com and use the code Spartan10 to save 10%. This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. Their innovative process allows them to brew great tasting craft beer without the alcohol. New customers can get 10% off their entire order with the code Spartan10. Limit 1 per customer.
We've got a good one here for you today. I met this gentleman in Vancouver when I lived there. Brian Scudamore started 1-800-GOT-JUNK. You see the trucks running around your neighborhood. He's written a couple of books. The latest book is BYOB, Big Beer Drinker, I guess. I'm kidding. What does it stand for?
Build your own business, be your own boss. So I like to have fun with acronyms. My first book was WTF, Willing to Fail. And then the acronym on this one is BYOB, Build Your Own Build Your Own Business, Be Your Own Boss. And why I came up with two things is I feel that people that want to start their own business, it's for different reasons. Some people want to be the boss. They want to be in charge. They want to lead. Some people just want to build something and want to grow a business and leave a legacy.
Some days I wonder, I had a job once and it was pretty nice. I didn't have to kill myself. It was like 9 to 5. The pressure was gone. I got my check every couple of weeks. 95% of businesses fail. Business owner, you're a business owner. It certainly has moments of greatness, but oh my goodness, the pressure.
It's pressure, but I think anything worth doing in life isn't necessarily easy. Taking the challenge. I mean, you look at Spartan and everything you've created, and we've, met in person many times and hung out, and you're the guy that carries kettlebells with you when you're getting on a train. I mean, do you want to make it easy or do you want to make it memorable, fun? Do you want to tell stories to your grandchildren one day about the experiences you had, the impact you had on the world? Working for someone is great. I mean, we've got hundreds of people working with us and it's important. But I think there's people out there that want to take the entrepreneurial leap for themselves. And then there's others who want to help support an entrepreneur. Eric Church, who is our president and COO of all our brands, 1-800-GOT-JUNK, Wow One Day Painting, and Shack Shine. And there's a guy who's always worked in corporate America, corporate Canada for an entrepreneur. He doesn't want to be the face of the company. He wants to be the executor of the entrepreneur's vision. So both sides matter. We can't have everyone in the world be entrepreneurs. But is it hard? Is it worth it? Heck yeah. I couldn't imagine. Well, first of all, I couldn't imagine you, Joe, having a job again. Could you?
There are days. I mean, we're trying to come back in to the world's consciousness coming out of COVID. I kind of feel like I'm in one of those, spaceships coming back into the Earth's atmosphere, and I'm on fire, and I've lost communication signal with NASA, and the walls are shaking. And I don't know. It'd be pretty cool to be the guy in the control tower at NASA getting my paycheck.
It's crazy times, but we just had our quarterly Connect, which is an event we just started doing. Get all of our company from all of our offices together, not our franchise owners, but our actual corporate staff. So we had about 400 people that made the trip to Vancouver last week. And we got in one room in a big auditorium and we spent 3 days meeting together, having dinner and drinks together, and reconnecting and the excitement that everybody had coming back to earth. The excitement, even if we were on fire for the last couple of years in different ways, everyone went through personal crises and lots of questions during COVID, but to reconnect again in person, we just said, wow, is this ever worth it? And again, it's tough, but we get to do it together. And that's what I'm always grateful for, is the fact that we get to build businesses with amazing people. And when I look at our franchise organization, our franchise owners who are loving life, who are living the dream of business ownership, even when it's hard, there's still moments where you just get to celebrate and go, look, we're doing this with amazing people.
Yeah, no, like I said, there's moments of incredible freedom in being a business owner. What do you give people in the book? Do you give advice on how to go from, 0 to 1,000?
Yeah, so I give my experience and stories of 33 years of giving people, if you're at a fork in the road today and someone says, I want to start my own business, 66% of Americans say they want to start their own business one day. Many fewer actually take the leap. But let's say you're at that fork in the road of 66%. What are the two main paths in the fork? I believe one is starting from scratch with a new idea or reinventing an industry, doing something differently like I did, or taking another path like someone I've gotten to know a little bit over the last year or so is Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq took his leadership, his passion for winning, his ability to build and lead a team, and after basketball went into franchises and bought a whole bunch of franchises with a lot of great people and put in leaders, and he's running these things. He's got $500 million in net worth these days, and he's building franchises in food services, and it's unbelievable. So he said, listen, I don't need to be the guy inventing the game. I'm the guy that can play the game really, really well, and franchising is his ticket. And we get a lot of people, in fact, from sports who come into our organization who have played college ball, or they've done something in their youth where they go, I love winning. I love playing games. I love leading people. I know how to follow a playbook. That's franchising. So I'm giving people a fork. It's a conversation in the book as to which fork could you take to get to entrepreneurship if that's truly what your heart wishes and desires.
Never thought of it that way. Like, it is hard to pave a brand new road, right? With up and down mountains, rocks in the way, weeds, trees, as opposed to, hey, you can get all the benefits of owning your own business, but it'll be somewhat of a paved road. It'll be a clear path, and you've got systems in place, right? By proven experts, and that's what you've done.
Yeah, we've provided a recipe book, which is very open source in the sense that while I created the first manual for how to build a 1-800-GOT-JUNK franchise, all our franchise partners that have come since have helped to make it better. We've tweaked it. And so you get this recipe that just gets bigger and better. Today, we've got a $600 million junk removal empire. And Wow One Day and Shack Shine are both, roaring and ready to take on the world. And so it's learning from your people. Now, it's interesting because people often say, Brian, would you have ever been a franchise owner? If it was a shortcut and you can grow more quickly, would you have done that? I don't think so. I'm not a road most traveled. I'm a road less traveled type of guy. I need to make the mistakes. I need to fail and fall on my face. I need to be able to invent things and do things differently. 14 schools from kindergarten through to college. I never finished college, never finished high school, finished kindergarten, but I like doing things differently. And so a franchise system wouldn't have been something for me. And, I like pioneering and paving the way. You strike me as a guy, I can picture you on your farm and, when you first bought the property and maybe you're taking a machete and you're just whacking through bush trying to figure out, what's on the property. Like, some people want to show up and have things ready and organized to take off with. And so two different groups of people. And I think the book investigates, if you really want to go after a franchise, if you really want to start a business from scratch, do some soul searching and figure out what is right for you. One more quick story is Paul Guy, our first franchise owner, who used to work with me in Vancouver. before we franchised. He ended up starting the first franchise, drove his truck all the way across the country to Toronto. He's got a $100 million business today with all the 1-800-GOT-JUNK franchises he owns. He got to $1 million in revenue in his first year. It took me 8 years to get there. So he was able to do it way faster, but he's happy with a proven recipe. I need to make mistakes, tweak things, and do things differently.
Yeah, I'm tired of making mistakes. I've been doing it a long time. But good news is, I had this vision for this sport to be in the Olympics someday. And we just got news. We recently got news that it looks like it's going to be in the Olympics.
No kidding.
Yeah, so that's exciting. So here I was, like you said, with the machete, cutting down the bush, not knowing. And then all of a sudden...
I think you and I play such a long game, and there's a level of patience that you dream such big ideas. We both do. And I remember, in fact, I don't know if you remember, we were at a restaurant in Vancouver called Rogue. We were at a bar and we were chatting. And I remember you shared that dream of one day it will be a part of the Olympics. And I kind of remember thinking, going, how does that happen?
That's the difference, right? The difference is if you're, let's call it, I don't know what you call it in the book, but level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is you're happy to be an employee like the gentleman that runs your companies. Level 2 is you're part employee, part business owner. You've got a franchise system, right? A license. And then 3 is you're just a wild man, wild woman. And you're just trying to figure it out. And in the case of wild man, wild woman, how the hell are you going to build a $600 million trash empire? You don't know, right? But you just keep saying it, you keep believing it, and then somehow it really does just happen.
Is more training always better? Hi, I'm Dr. Julie Fouché from Wild Health. Training hard is really great, but not if you overdo it and you don't have adequate recovery in order to support that level of training. This can eventually lead to physical symptoms, so things like lack of motivation, trouble sleeping, waking up in the middle of the night, feeling anxious, even GI symptoms, or a change in your appetite. If you have these symptoms, it could be a sign of overtraining. Now, it's important to talk to your doctor first and make sure they rule out other causes of these symptoms. But if they think it's due to overtraining, the next step is going to be getting some rest and recovery. So this means getting enough sleep, going to bed early, giving yourself enough opportunity to sleep and get the quantity and quality that you need. This means trading in those intense workouts for a long walk or a yoga session, dialing it back for a little while. It means getting enough nutrition, taking enough food, overall calories, but also getting enough protein and micronutrients to support your health and recovery. After that, take a step back and look at how did you get out of balance in the first place? What is your overall stress on your body? Now, this is training stress, meaning how often are you working out? How long are your workouts? How intense are they? How much recovery do you have in between workouts? But it's also other types of stress. It could be life stress, family stress, environmental stress, not getting enough sleep, eating too much, or not eating enough. What are some of these things that you might be able to change in order to best support your training long term and feel great while doing it?
Wild Health, the official healthcare provider of Spartan. We'll be right back to the interview. But first, a little bit from Athletic Brewing Company, today's sponsor. You don't have to choose between an ice-cold beer after a race and your health, thanks to Athletic Brewing Company. Athletic Brewing Company's innovative process allows them to brew great-tasting craft beers without the alcohol, from IPAs to stouts to golden ales and more. They offer a full selection of beers, starting at only 50 calories, so you can keep your head clear and enjoy the refreshing taste of beer anytime and anywhere. And they're part of a program called 2 for the Trails. For every product purchased, Athletic Brewing Company donates 2% of sales to protecting and restoring local trails. They're pioneering a craft brew revolution. You don't have to sacrifice being your best to enjoy a great brew. In fact, check out their website to see a list of awards that their beers have won. Check your local store, but if you can't find it, they'll ship it. Place an order at athleticbrewing.com, and you can get free shipping on 2 6-packs or more. And new customers can save 10% off the entire order with the code SPARTAN10. Limit 1 per customer.
And then somehow it really does just happen.
Yeah, Steve Jobs talks about, I don't talk about this in the book, but it was something that came to mind, is he used to say that you connect the dots in your life, his famous Stanford speech, and you connect the dots, but only backwards, never forwards, because you can't predict the future. But you look back and you say all the mistakes, all the hard times, all the little conversations, you can connect them and go, this would never have happened if it wasn't for every one of those dots. An example was we were recently on the Ellen DeGeneres show. It's her last season. I was there. I was able to talk about visioning and this can you imagine movement I want to spawn and get people thinking big and dreaming big possibilities. And I was able to do it on the show. It was in one of our painted pictures, our visions, maybe 15 years ago. And it took a long time to make it happen. But every little conversation and all the no's that we got one day led to a yes. And it's crazy how hard it can be. But when you believe and you put your mind on it, like you with the Olympics, it just somehow happens.
Something my mother used to say when I was a kid, don't say that. Those words become reality. And I thought, that's ridiculous. Like, how could words become reality? But they really do. Those seemingly impossible things, those dots keep getting connected, as you just told that story. Like, it really does. Well, one thing's for sure. If you don't lean in and you don't try to connect the dots and you don't, then it doesn't happen for sure. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
What your mother said reminds me of Margaret Thatcher, former British Prime Minister. I remember she said, watch your thoughts because they become words and your words become actions, actions, habits, habits, character, character, destiny. And so what we think we do become. I truly believe that. And so one of my first starting points with anything I do in life, with anyone that wants to start a business, I would say, tell someone you're going to do it. Take it from a thought and put it in words. Say, I'm going to read Brian's book. I'm going to look at the conversation of should I even be an entrepreneur? Which path should I take or not? But then tell someone. Tell someone what you're going to do, even if you don't know how to do it. I mean, did you know how to make this part of the Spartan part of the Olympics? Probably not when you imagined the idea, but you believed you would.
I still couldn't explain how it happened other than it was just through sheer force, just like you couldn't explain how many, right? Like you just become relentless at it. And it eventually manifests. You just make it happen. How many for 1-800-GOT-JUNK, how many different folks do you have out there on the roads?
Well, as owners, 150. And we had a peak of over 300 at one point. But what we realized is the stronger, the better leaders bought out the weaker ones. And we ended up with fewer people running the same territory with much, much more revenue. And so it's this constant shuffling of the biggest, best operators buy out other ones and everyone gets bigger.
And is it pretty well spread throughout the U.S.?
U.S., Canada, we're also in Australia. And what's been interesting is watching the best franchise owners we have are the ones who are able to take their truck team members, people that are hauling junk, that can see it as bigger than just a job, that can see their own development path. So Tyler and Josh, franchise owners in Kansas City for 1-800-GOT-JUNK, they have taken their truck team members and put them into franchises in Salt Lake City, Reno, Nevada, Oklahoma City, and they're now growing their own empires with some business ownership.
So here's a big one. I'm on the fence. I'm an employee. I'm unsure. I want to start my own business. What are 3 things I should do? Like, I'm sure you lay it out in the book. What should I do? What should I consider?
Yeah, 3 key areas: vision, people, and systems. So first, I tell people to sit down with a sheet of paper and just dream. Start to think what your future could look like if you did decide to build a business. What do you see? How much money are you going to make? What kind of freedom do you have? And what does that do for you? What do your employees say about you? What does your community say about you and your business? Start to really see why you want to build something. If I look at myself, I think we all know Simon Sinek, Starts with Why. Great book. And Simon spent a night on my couch before he wrote that book and helped me uncover my why. And it's to inspire big possibilities in others, to help them see big dreams, write them down, and then start to chase them. So I would love to see someone take that first step of writing down a vision. What do they see for themselves? If it's starting a business and building $1 million, a $5 million, a $10 million business, what do they see? Writing that down. People's the big one. In building a company, it's a company of great women and men. You look at both our companies and what we've built. Fantastic people, great leaders, continuing to grow and be developed. How do you, if you're going to start a business, who will be on your starting line? Who's on the starting bench ready to go? Who will you surround yourself with as a mentor? Who will you surround yourself with in terms of people that will cheer you on and tell you, you got this, you can make this happen? So people, it's all about people. I learned when the first 5 years of my business, I had the wrong people in my company and I fired all 11 people, my entire company, because I didn't have the right people and I wasn't treating them right. And it was a big transition point for me, an inflection point for me to understand to really grow something, you have to have the right people. And so even in the seedling of an idea, whether it's blank sheeting a business or franchising, who's your team that's surrounding you to support you? And then systems. You mentioned making mistakes. You're sick of making mistakes. I'm sick of making mistakes too. While I believe they're an important ingredient in success, I still go, how do I make sure I've got the right checklists? Especially as a franchise, we're big into checklists that keep us accountable to doing the right things the right way. Vision, people, systems. How do we keep going down the right path to build and scale great businesses? When someone buys a franchise, as an example of two paths, one of the paths, they want to know that this has been proven. They want to know that everyone that's come before them has learned something, made mistakes, and there's systems and processes that allow that person to start off with a big springboard and really hit the ground running.
I love it. All right. Well, how do people find you?
Well, if they want to read the book, they go to Amazon, of course. BYOB. Search Brian Scudamore. You can go into Google. There's plenty of content all over the place. You can go to our O2E Brands website, social media. I mean, we live in a world where it's not hard to find someone. You put Joe De Sena into Google and, I don't know what you're up to, how many billions of search results now, but easy to find people. And the reason why I would want someone to read the book or find me and learn more is if I can inspire a spark in them. If I can give them some encouragement, even through the written word, as to how to take that leap for yourself, that's why I'm here.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. Their innovative process allows them to brew great tasting craft beer without the alcohol. New customers can get 10% off their entire order with the code SPARTAN10. Limit 1 per customer. Maximize energy, optimize nutrition, and improve performance with Wild Health. Personalized precision healthcare built for Spartans. You'll get a personalized health plan based on your DNA and biometrics and the support of a team of health experts. Sign up at wildhealth.com with the code SPARTAN10 to save 10%.